Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Julie from StoryADay here. And this month at StoryADay, I've been talking all about refining our writing processes, taking what we've learned about our writing and ourselves and looking at processes we have in place for getting to the desk, coming back to the desk, improving our writing, getting feedback on our writing. All of these things need to happen, and we don't necessarily think about them in a very conscious way or systematic way. I'm certainly not someone who thought of themselves as systematic until I realized the benefits of having some systems. And then once I realized that, I realized I actually did have systems. They just weren't helpful systems in my life. So I'm going through and refining them gradually, and I invite you to do the same. This time, I wanted to talk about, do you celebrate your writing wins? And really, I should start with the question, do you celebrate your writing wins? Because when I ask this, people look at me with a furtive, sometimes guilty, sometimes confused look. Sometimes they well up with tears because we are so hard on our little writer selves that when somebody suggests that you might congratulate yourself for getting to the desk, it seems counterintuitive, especially I think in certain countries like the one where I currently live, where there's this work ethic where you have to be going all the time. And if you're not producing and writing 4 novels a year, then you're somehow failing. That is not how creativity thrives. So I talked last time about BJ Fogg's Tiny Habits system, where he has this recipe for how to build a habit. And it's all about when there's a trigger. And it can be, if you're building a habit like you want to exercise more, then you tie the new habit to an old habit. So the old habit is a trigger. Like every time my feet hit the floor in the morning, I will do 5 push-ups or something like that. So that's the trigger. In our case, I think the trigger is that emotion, that impulse, I want to write. And when you have that impulse, what action can you train yourself to take? And the default, I argued, was that the action that we take tends to be to panic a little bit because we don't know what we want to write about, to get overwhelmed a little bit because the project we've got going at the moment is at a point where it's got really difficult. And then instead of taking a positive action towards solving that problem, because this is happening subconsciously, it's not a system that we've brought to the surface and looked at, but I would argue it's there. Think about writing, panic a little bit or feel overwhelmed, then in comes the self-recrimination, and then because we're feeling bad about ourselves, we go to our ATOC, our avoidance technique of choice, which might be eating, drinking, phoning a friend, scrolling social media, discovering we need to clean out the fridge, whatever it is, things that we know how to do and that make us feel better for the moment. You get a little dopamine rush from scrolling social media and seeing that little heart, oh, somebody likes me, instead of doing the difficult work of writing. But I would argue that is a default process that most of us have. And because we haven't examined it, we don't even really realize it's a process. We don't really know we're doing it. We just all of a sudden kind of surface 3/4 of an hour later and go, wow, that was a lot of TikTok or Instagram, or how did that happen? So let's look at the process. And the process is there's a trigger, which is that you feel the urge to write. And the action, the next stage, is not panic and overwhelm, or it might be, but instead of giving into the panic and overwhelm, you have an action that you're ready to take. I suggested last time that you pick up a copy of the StoryADay Challenge Handbook and open it up, choose a prompt and begin to write. If you are working on a current project, you will have if you have a novel on the go, you may have a simple action that you take, which is open the file. Just open the file. And then the next part to build that habit is to celebrate that you did it. Even if your goal, your minimal action that you've planned to take to start the process of building a habit of writing more often and not avoiding your novel or your current project, even if the action is, I will open up the file and look at it. You don't actually have to do anything to win the day. In that case, just celebrate. And gradually, you'll be able to make that action a little more challenging. Read yesterday's words, or look at the outline if you've got one, or sketch out what needs to happen in the next scene, or do a mind map, or draw a plan of where everyone's sitting at the big dinner. or draw a map of the region they are traversing so that I know where the mountains are. Are they on the left or on the right? I don't know. Think of small, manageable tasks that are things that you can do when you have that impulse to write that will stop you from feeling overwhelmed by all the things you have to do, and just pick one and do that for a little while until it starts to feel easy. And then add something to it. So not just open the file, but read yesterday's words, or not just open the file, but draw a schematic of the emotional beats of the next scene. I don't know, whatever comes to you. Some people are very visual, some people are not, but break things down into little things. Now, the action that you take is worth thinking about what's manageable. The key point is that you have to celebrate when you do the thing. Even if you're at the stage where you are just opening the file, you must follow that up with a celebration. The celebration is not go to the store, buy myself an ice cream cake and eat one slice, because we all know you won't just eat one slice. The celebration is something ideally that you can do from where you are right this moment. A lot of people in the Superstars group love stickers and use stickers as a way of motivating themselves to get stuff done. Not motivating, but just like rewarding themselves for doing something. It's silly and fun, and it takes you back to a time when people did say, yeah, good for you, when you were little and you got a gold star from the teacher, and it was like, oh my goodness, that's all I wanted in the world was that gold star, not the silver one. I wanted the gold one, and you got it. And life was simple. There's a childlike quality to creativity and a creative life that needs to stay with us. There's a difference between childish, where you're throwing tantrums, and childlike, where you're open and full of wonder and easily pleased, right? And that's what we want to embrace in our writing. So stickers as a reward for writing are great because they bring back that kind of childlike joy and acceptance. The flaw in relying on something like that for celebrations, certainly in my case, is that you haven't always got stickers to hand. Maybe you do, but I can never find mine, or maybe I'm out somewhere else. If I'm in the coffee shop and I open my laptop and I look at my thing, I don't have my stickers with me. So the key to a really simple, fruitful celebration that helps you to reinforce good habits and refine your writing process so that you want to come back is to design a celebration that you can do anywhere, anytime, with what you have. So going back to, I often joke that stickers are like, we all know stickers are like toddler crack. You go to a grocery store and your child is managing not to have a meltdown in the cart, in the line, and the grocery clerk says, oh, you're such a good kid, let me give you a sticker. And it's just a sticker with the logo of the store on it, and they are so excited. Toddler crack. So the other thing that toddlers love that you can give them, no matter what else you have, is to sit in your lap, right? You always have your lap with you. You always have your arms that you can put around a toddler. So that's the kind of celebration that I want you to have, something that you're carrying with you. And it could be as simple as huge, goofy smile. Like when you do it, you make a huge, fake, goofy smile, you hold it for 5 seconds, and you can't help but feel better. You start to feel better. Or you could do a little dance. I like to dance around the room. Nobody's watching. Nobody is watching. It's a good thing. Or you can literally pat yourself on the back, which is silly and just pops that bubble of self-importance that is so destructive to creativity. Anything you can do that's got a hint of silly, do it. Another thing that you can do is, if you don't have that much silliness in you're not like delighted by silliness the way I am, something that could be really good is to use your breath. And I know that it's one of those things where people make a joke about the things that used to be punishments when you were a kid are now rewards as an adult. But like sitting and doing nothing for 5 minutes and just breathing, working on practicing being able to breathe and be present. And not everybody can sit still and do that. You may pace and do it, but really focusing on breathing deep, diaphragmatic breaths is so good for regulating your nervous system. And you almost can't help but feel better if you spend 5 minutes focused on breathing properly, whether you're doing it while you're moving or whether you're doing it seated and in the lotus position with a candle going, whatever it is. But if you give yourself the reward of just 5 minutes of still, quiet, conscious breathing, you will feel physiologically better, psychologically better. And really, it's not too much to ask. 5 minutes at the end of your writing session. If you can't, sit down at your laptop or computer or notebook and open it up and look at your existing project, and then give yourself a reward of 1, 2, 5 minutes of conscious breathing. There's something else in your process that needs to be refined. It might be your availability to everybody else in your life is dialed up way too high, and you need to communicate to people, I need these 10 minutes every day, or I need 15 minutes every day, or I need 90 minutes every day, whatever you build up to. If your process does not allow for celebration of what you've achieved, it's not going to be sustainable over the long haul. You can white knuckle it, in my experience, for about 10 days. You won't make it to 2 weeks if you're not celebrating. And if that isn't built in, and if you don't have enough ease and space to not just do the work, but also take a moment to sit back and go, I did the work. You can swear if you like. I'm not a big swearer. If you want to put an F-bomb in there, go for it. Maybe that's your celebration. You let rip the most amusing curse that you can think of. If you don't have that built into your system, build it in. If you were doing something like patting yourself on the back or giving yourself a sticker and it's no longer motivating, refine the system. Maybe you don't feel deserving of the sticker anymore because opening the file and looking at it feels too easy, and you're feeling an itch to actually do some writing now. Then do the writing and then do the celebration. And maybe the celebration is a bit bigger. Maybe you get up and jump up and down 3 times. Maybe you phone a friend. Maybe you wear like a sailor. Whatever you need to do. Nothing is static in this writing life, in this creative life. The clue is in the word. We're not really as at home to rigid systems and repetition. That's just not part of what excites us. But processes help us get our work done, but we always need to be refining them and letting them change and letting them breathe and letting them grow. And we always need to be celebrating what we're doing. You can enlist a friend in it. You can be celebration buddies. You can come to the StoryADay website on the 1st of every month, and there's a post there called Swagger, which is for the Serious Writers Accountability Group. We're serious, not somber. And you can post what you've done and what you plan to do over the next month. And that's a way of celebrating in public. Celebrations, if you have them, great. If they're working, fabulous. If it's starting to feel a little routine and not like a celebration, refine it, change it, tweak it. If you are not taking a moment every time that you work towards your goal of being a writer by sitting down and doing something that pushes you further along the road, if you're not celebrating every time, you're making it harder for yourself. We are raised in a culture that says, don't celebrate yourself, don't toot your own horn, don't blow your own trumpet, don't whatever. Forget it. If you had a cute, adorable puppy or toddler in front of you and they did something right and you didn't celebrate it, A, you'd be a monster, and B, they wouldn't do it again. They would not. We reinforce the good behavior. We ignore and minimize the bad behavior. We reinforce the good behavior. That is true for your little puppy writer, your little toddler writer inside. Reinforce the good behavior every time. I'm lecturing now. I'm going to stop. If you need help with any of this stuff, make sure that you are on the StoryADay mailing list. I will send you motivating emails. I will invite you to events that will help you celebrate, will help you be part of a community, will help you get to your desk. And if you need help with celebrations, I'll leave some links in the description to articles and podcasts I've written about. Keep writing. Thanks for listening. Why not come over to the blog at storyaday.org and check out this week's writing prompts and articles. And in the meantime, have a great creative week and of course, keep writing.